Do another Q&A on Sundays with my members. So many downloads are coming to me. This video would literally be 3 hours long if I told you all the downloads, but I'll tell you the one that just came to me about 2 minutes ago. I'm a little bit late to this because I was picking up breakfast this morning, and on my way to pick up this Uber Eats order, I was thinking to myself, everything within society is becoming more 5D. We can already see the structures within society changing and transmuting to be more fifth dimensional. And what I mean by that, I was like literally walking out to the side of the street to pick up this order. And, you know, in the past, without Uber Eats, without technology, what did we have to do? We had to walk all the way to the store and use up, you know, vital space and time, I guess, in order to go there physically in person. And now we go onto our little device and we order what we want, and boom, it shows up at our doorstep, right? It's just really interesting to observe the technology as well within society and how rapid that's progressing and how that's changing and affecting our lives and actually giving more power back to us, because the power is in the time. The more time we have, the more space we have to contemplate things beyond space and time. Do you see how that works? Do you see how that happens? Thank you, Jeremy, so much. Oh, you live in Boise. That's awesome. I really loved Boise, Idaho. People there were just so nice. It was pretty dreary, but people were super nice. Okay, also, another download that happened this morning was, like, I literally looked at my finger. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it has a burn mark on it, right? And, you know, the last time I got burned was here. You can see it's white. But I've got these little burn marks all over my arms. And for whatever reason, you know, I do the cooking in the relationship. And for whatever reason, I get these burn marks all over my arms and my hands. And finally, I think it was probably like 8 months ago, I channeled, what's going on with these damn burn marks everywhere? And I instantly got a flashback of a past lifetime where I want to say I was in the military. I was a man in that lifetime, and I was just, all I remember of that lifetime was I was in an underground cellar or some sort of jail, and I was tied up, and they were torturing me. And what they did to torture me was they would cut me in all these places, like these little tiny cuts, but it would slowly basically bleed me out. And there was something about, you know, the lesson behind that was about understanding the risk involved in relaying information, and to be aware of the grounding. I just figured once I went into the past lifetime, I would get rid of burning myself over and over again and creating all of these scars, but it has not stopped. So clearly I haven't learned that lesson. But the burn mark does remind me that old injuries from past lifetimes will be hitting you hard right now at this time. And one thing that I wanted to start with, which is definitely, you know, definitely TMI, definitely bordering the line of, is this appropriate, Elizabeth? But I'm gonna go for it. Literally 2 days ago, I got the worst hemorrhoids of my entire life. I know I'm 28, but it's bad. It's really bad. And out of nowhere, like literally out of nowhere, okay? And I'm like asking my guides, I'm like, guides, what's going on? Like, what's happening here? This is really painful. Some butt stuff issues. And they told me that it literally is there to ground me for this next month. And all I saw was this like anchoring, this grounding cord going from my base root, okay? So, aches and pains in the body, old symptoms coming up, old injuries coming up, okay? Last night I got these shooting pains in my legs. I'm like, what is going on, all right? These are all things, okay? They're mechanisms. They may be painful in the moment, but they're actually here to help you ground. They're actually here to help you anchor in the new frequencies and to be in your body, right? We've got this huge, crazy, some sort of eclipse happening on December 14th, which is, I don't know, what day is that? That's in a couple of days. And then we've got the 21st. I mean, it's going to be non-stop activations and vibrational shifts. So be grateful, to be really, really hungry and to be eating all the food in your fridge, or be grateful to be not hungry at all and not eating anything. Be aware of, be very cognizant and aware of the way that your body is responding right now, because it's next level. And I was just chatting with my members right before the video, and I was talking about technology issues. Has anyone else here, and I know only the members can chat in the chat room, but has anyone else here had major technology issues? Just crazy stuff coming out of nowhere. I can't rely on technology right now, and that's okay, right? And then the other thing that I wanted just to validate for all of you who may be having symptoms and weird things going on, the other thing too is, if you feel like hermiting, if you feel like just totally effing off from your friends and family for the month of December, that's okay. Just tell all your friends and family that you're psychic, okay, gave you permission to just screw off. And you don't have to say that. I'm just saying permission granted, okay, to just literally bury yourself in a cave in a hole, because that's all I want to do. And even I had to tell my friend who wanted to hang out, and I said, look, girl, like, it's not even that I'm so super busy this month. It's literally that I just don't want to see anyone. And I felt guilty, and I felt wrong, and I felt bad for saying that. And then I'm like, what I do for a living is read energy. I can't feel bad for feeling overwhelmed and wanting to barricade myself away from the rest of the world, especially for the month of December. I'm giving you all full permission to just go into your cave and to just do what you feel like you need to do for the month of December, okay? Please don't feel bad about saying no to loved ones, especially around Christmas. It's bigger than Christmas, and the Galactic Federation gave us that message months ago. That literally Christmas is here to take away our awareness and focus and intention on the equinox, on the portal opening. And that's every Christmas, every year. This one especially is impactful and powerful. Before I dive into crystalline upgrades, miscarriages, reptilian children, the Anunnaki, America as a whole, light language, and so much more, I'm gonna go ahead and rep my merch because I'm so proud of it. First of all, I am wearing my gray and mantis bracelets. Those are definitely my favorite. No surprise there. Definitely very gray and mantis myself. And then of course my own EA bracelet. And then this t-shirt just dropped. I know it's all fuzzy in the bottom. I love it though. It's like I'm literally moving through dimensions with this weird thing that's going on with my phone. Anyway, this t-shirt just got released. I love it so much. This has been a phrase, a quote, I guess. A quote that's been in my mind for many, many years. Years ago, when I asked my spirit guides, I said, who am I? Like, how do I even label myself? People want to know who I am and what I do. Well, so what is that? And what I heard back was, you are a student of the universe, and, I don't know if you can see it, and a teacher of its knowledge. And I've always wanted to put that on a t-shirt, and now I have. So check that out. I think these are going for $33, and you've got the EA on the side too. So yeah, super pumped. And they make a great Christmas present. Actually, hopefully my family members aren't watching this because you're all getting a shirt. Okay, moving on. Everyone gets all my merch for Christmas. Okay, I think, oh yeah, and one last thing is, oh yeah, two more things. So many upgrades and so many downloads I just want to mention. One more is I just put together the past 6 Galactic Federation meetings in a package online. So hopefully, Lauren, you have the School of Awakening link and you can link that out. It's just $11 and you get all 6 recordings. The best thing about it is they're just all in one place. So you can watch them and rewatch them, and purchasing that package, it never expires. So you've got that there for you. And even if you've maybe bought 2 of the recordings in the past, you get all 6. And obviously the last one, I guess it's 5, right, since August. And the last one was the December one, which was free anyway, and that was only 12 minutes. That was the shortest one. One more thing before we get into the questions, okay? I also had a download right before coming on here that, okay, we can all agree that we're hybrids. We can also all agree that we are teachers. And I hope that by now you understand that you're the awakened ones. You're the teachers. You are the star seeds. You are the light workers, okay? Which means that you have been planted, typically, within a family dynamic of a bunch of unawakened people. Anyone else? I shouldn't put my hand up, but anyone else? Anyone here? Feel like the people who are surrounding them are pretty 3D. Yeah. I want to tell you and remind you, because you already know this, but I have to remind you that everything you say to your family is a code for ascension and awakening. Therefore, you shouldn't say anything that is not aligned to your highest vibration. Don't say anything that is through obligation. Don't say anything that you feel like they just want to hear. Stand in your truth, guys. This is the time for us to stand in our power to shift the people around us. And we're actually going to get into, I think there's a question in here about 3D partners. So let's deep dive. First question here is from Gregor Sturm. Gregor Sturm. And you are a 2-month member. Thank you for being here. Can you expand on how you interpret the messages you receive while channeling? For example, when you ask a question, what form of reply do you get? Colors, pictures, images, feelings, sounds, voices, smells, and so forth. For sure. How do I channel? Thank you so much, Susan, for that super chat. How do I channel? Everything for me is visual. So I guess the word would be clairvoyance. I've been like that since a kid. That is definitely how I channel. Everyone channels a different way. So even when I was asking my guides about what's going on with the butt stuff, right? They literally gave me a visual of my grounding cord from my base root chakra, and the focus and awareness of that, and the focus and awareness of healing my body is actually meant to ground me and anchor me during this time. Everything that I receive is visual. And then even people's auras and chakras, and if I read someone's chakras, they're like, wow, like you know me better than my best friend, right? Which is really cool, maybe a little bit creepy. And just from the visuals, right? Just from explaining the visuals. Now, when I first started tapping in or re-tapping into my channeling abilities around 18, I would get, say, the color red, right? And I wouldn't know what red meant. So I would have to ask the higher beings, the guides, the higher self, the collective, what does this mean? You're giving me red color. What does this mean? So by receiving an image, we don't know exactly what that image represents. By asking the right questions, we receive the right information and more information, more in depth, right? So for me, I'm really good at asking questions. Okay, so what does this mean? But why? But you guys don't see me asking those questions. When I'm tapping in and I'm getting a lifetime, or I'm astral traveling and I end up in a jungle, I'm asking the question, okay, so where am I? You know, where did you take me and why am I here? Right? And so then I get all the information of where I am and why I'm there and what the lesson is and why humanity needs to know this, boom, in the split of a second. And then I come back and relay all of that information. But there is a process to me bringing that information through and translate. And that's also 10 years of working on the process as well. And then the other thing too, I think it might be called clairsentience, but I don't really know all the labels for the things that I do. And I have like the mediumship stuff and, you know, the timeline looking, the psychic stuff, right? But the other thing too is just the all-knowing, right? Like literally I'll ask such a silly question of like, why is it cold in this room? And instantly my attention will be drawn to, oh, it's because the window is open. That's a silly example, but it's like there's this all-knowing that just comes through. And I think that that's more or less the connection to the collective. So a lot of people think that I just channel the Galactic Federation, but I don't. I channel your higher self, my higher self. I channel spirit guides, your spirit guides, my spirit guides. I channel the Galactic Federation and many different councils. I channel Mother Gaia. Really, I think I could tap into any being, any soul. I could channel the plant that's in front of me if I wanted to, right? So there are so many different sources of information. I just like to bring them all together and take a look at the cohesive picture, which makes the most sense to me as a human being and hopefully makes the most sense to you guys. So thank you for that question, Gregor. I always love explaining kind of how I do what I do, even though it's not always like super clear. All right, we've got a brand new member here, Riley Fisher. Oh yeah, and we've been chatting, Riley, on Discord. So I don't know if you guys are on Discord, but it's a free community platform where you guys get all the updates from all of my socials and we get to chat as well. And that's always really fun. Hey, Elizabeth, when it comes to light bodies and crystalline energy of 5D, what are the types of upgrades that we can expect to be happening within us? And will they be happening all at once or gradually or over a more extended period of time? Yeah, so I just had a session yesterday, like kind of an emergency session because I don't do them anymore, with a friend's wife, okay? And yeah, she's, okay, so her wife, okay, they're both female. Okay, her wife has been really awakening and she found my content and I think she's Canadian and it's really cool. She married an American and so her wife has been kind of slower to awaken in that way. And they've got a beautiful little boy. And so anyway, so her wife has been having these crazy panic and anxiety attacks at night. Like her whole body starts to shake, her mind starts to go, you know, on overdrive, and she doesn't get any sleep at all. So when I had this emergency session with her yesterday, I tapped into it and I said, you know, these are just awakening symptoms, but it was based on something that you asked for back in September that you're creating this change in your system now. So Riley, when you're asking like, does it happen all at once? It happens differently. The ascension into crystalline frequency and 5D, it happens differently for everyone, right? So some people get it all at once and that's not a great way to awaken because sometimes it'll tip you over to the edge of, say, like psychosis, right, type energies, which I don't think is a very good way to awaken at all because it can be scary and detrimental and traumatic, right? So I always ask for upgrades when they're appropriate to my gradual transformation. That's what that's what I ask for. Yeah, so it's really important. And yeah, as far as like symptoms, you know, types of upgrades that we can expect, really more glitches in the matrix, more intuitive abilities, heightened empathic abilities, heightened sensitivities to sounds and smells and tastes and feels. Okay, your 5 senses are all heightened, and other things. But yeah, good question. And welcome, Susan, to the membership page. Another brand new member and a question here from Stefan Ozimok. Do demons exist? Just as angels, I mean, I know all kinds of species of extraterrestrials exist, but the fairies and the giants and everything else that we've considered folklore or mysterious. Do demons exist? That word and that term of demons is just semantics, right? I call them dark entities. Someone who's maybe Christian or Catholic would call them demons, right? I still use words from my upbringing like purgatory, right? When a soul is caught in between two realms, it's kind of like purgatory. It's this weird liminal place because that's the kind of the perfect word for it, right? As far as demons, the problem with using that word is that there's so much prior association, there's so much prior interpretation and perception around it that it can be really a negative thing. Dark entities, on the other hand, is a more elevated way of understanding that there is light and dark out in the universe, right? And yeah, and same thing with God. I really try and stay away from the word God, but just know that every time I say the universe or source frequency or source energy, I'm referencing God, God frequency, right? Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But same thing, I just feel like there's been so much genocide and so much killing and so much restriction and limitation and torture and all of that around the word God that I would rather not use such a heavily loaded word. There are too many misconceptions and perceptions around the word God that I just don't really want to take with me. But good question. Thank you, Stefan, and thank you for being a new member. We've got a good question here from Natalie. Hi EA, can you please give us more details about the chakra system changing with the shift to 5D and examples of how this will be used on a practical level? Absolutely. So I do have a whole video out there, and I believe it's actually, the title is 7 chakra system to 13 chakra system to crystalline system. And that's really, I believe, where we're going. I have seen children being born with the full 13 chakra system. I have also seen children being born with no chakra system at all, which is very common these days. Okay, to put it lightly, we're moving from 7 chakra system, right in the middle of us, to a 13 chakra system, which means that we're opening up 2 chakras in our hands, and I think 3 chakras above our, three extra chakras above our crown chakra. Oh yeah, and then our ear chakras as well. So we're opening up these new chakras, and that's going to really increase our sensitivities. It's going to be increasing our ability to heal and work with our hands and our vibration with our hands, creativity, writing, music playing, you name it, anything with the hands. The ear chakras, clairaudience, ringing in the ears, popping in the ears. For probably 2 years, I was having popping in my ears all the time. Really don't get that anymore, which is pretty wild, and I just recognize that now. And then, of course, the crown chakras, pressure, headaches, things in the head and the top of the head, okay, are all associated to the opening of that, which allows us to connect at a greater level to source. The 13 chakra system is still a chakra system. What the chakra system is, in my perspective, is, just to put it lightly, it's a placeholder for energy. It's a placeholder for energy. So it's kind of an archaic system, to be honest. It's like, oh, I'm feeling something. Let me put it in my sacral chakra. Let me just hold it there so that I can process it, so that I can understand what I'm feeling, so that I can then link the emotional center to the communication center, and then I can relay what I'm really feeling. In the crystalline system, there are no chakras to hold anything, which means that we're not actually holding any energetic baggage in our system at all with crystalline vibration. When you feel it and it comes in, it's instant and you release it instantly. You don't deal with it later because you don't hold anything in your system. Pure light system. All right. Pauline Collins. Hey Elizabeth, I was at the supermarket this afternoon, and when I walked in, this little girl, who looked just like me at the age of 5, was dancing about, but when she saw me, she suddenly stopped and smiled at me in recognition. I gave her a massive smile, but carried on walking. Meditating this evening, I saw the same girl who told me that she was in my tummy, but had to leave because this other mummy needed her more. I've had 4 miscarriages 10 years ago. Is it possible for a soul to change their mind and incarnate within the same area in such a short space of time? Yes, it is. Absolutely. It's so funny. I mean, any question that you can come up with, it's possible. There's some sort of variable, there's some sort of possibility, right? But it's really interesting, Pauline. I have, as a matter of fact, it's quite rare that this happens, but I have, as a matter of fact, seen souls, like I said, definitely more rare, but seen souls that were supposed to come through one human being. Maybe you weren't ready. Maybe you didn't have the right partner at the time. Maybe you weren't in the right space mentally or health-wise or whatever. Maybe there was a mom who was going to be saved by that soul in particular, okay? It is possible that that soul will move to a different human who is ready to give birth to them. Like I said, it's definitely not likely. Or it's not common, at least. Typically, those contracts are set in stone. But I do want to say that, you know, if you do want to have a child, there's other souls that you're contracted to be with. But it's really cool when you meet your unborn child, you know, and having that resonance and knowing. So it's cool that you were able to even tap into that information. And now you're getting that validated, which is really awesome. All right, Taylor P, you are a first month member, so welcome. Hi EA, you've said that reptilians can no longer hold their form as we shift into 5D. So how is it possible to have negative beings in your higher dimensions with higher frequencies? Oh, this is such a good question. I love it. I love these Q&As so freaking much. Like, I just have so much knowledge and information that it does test me sometimes too. Okay, so reptilians can no longer hold their form as we shift into 5D. Okay, so what I want to say is the technology that the reptilians have developed to shapeshift into human beings can no longer exist and hold its form in 5D. Kind of like we're having a lot of technology glitches these days because the Schumann resonance and solar flares and all of that are spiking. It's really skewing things up, right? And even you guys know that in the past couple of years, when you spike your vibration, when you're ascending, when you're shifting, when you're growing and awakening, technology still glitches out around you, right? So it's really interesting. So, okay, so reptilians and their shape-shifting abilities have the technology in 4th dimension frequency. When we're moving into 5D, their technology cannot exist in 5D. That's just that one case. But we also need to realize, how can lower vibrational, what was it? Yeah. How is it possible to have negative beings in higher dimensions with higher frequencies? Okay. A higher dimension just means that the container in which the soul is existing in is lighter and more spacious and less attached and limited by space and time. The intention of that soul can still be negative. It can still be dark. Just because you're a 10th dimensional blank doesn't mean that you're actually more aware, more psychic, more tapped in, more high vibrational than even a human being. The dimension is just the density of the frequency of the body and the environment that you're existing within. Does that make sense? That's why we as 5th dimensional beings can still be existing on the 3rd dimensional plane of environment. Many 10th, 11th dimensional beings and even mantis beings can be in their higher density dimension state and basically live on a giant spaceship that is probably within the, fifth dimensional, maybe frequency realm. I'll have to ask them one time what dimension spaceships are in. I wonder if it's even third dimension frequency, because they are dense, but yet they have the technologies to bend space and time, right? So I'd be really interesting to ask that question. But different density beings can interact with different density environments. And we are living proof of that right now. Interesting. Okay. Rosa Rose. All right. Another 1 month member. Welcome to the membership. What signs and symptoms are expressed by children of reptilians? This is kind of the follow-up to last week's Q&A. How do we assist children that have a reptilian parent? I'm suspecting that my son's father might be a reptilian. Okay, so every reptilian child has different symptoms. Typically what I find with, a higher DNA of reptilian DNA in children, or just even in adults, more fight or flight mechanisms. Maybe your child is more angry more often. Maybe your child is, more polarized and more extreme. Maybe they go from 0 to 150 instantly, right? And this is more so in the younger ages. In the adult ages, what I found with humans who have higher than normal reptilian DNA, more tendency to addiction, more tendency to alcoholism and drugs, more tendency to escape their current circumstance. But going back to the weirdness of different dimension densities and environments, I do want to say this. Your child may have, especially it's more common to have a reptilian father, your child may have a reptilian father, which means that they have higher than normal reptilian DNA, because it just comes through the bloodlines from all the way back in the day when they were splicing their genetics with us, right? But your child's soul may be super Palladian. Do you see how weird it gets? Do you see how complex it gets when you start getting into it? Okay, so I have high reptilian DNA in my body, but I have a Palladian soul. And some cases that just neutralizes out. Some cases you can use the best of both worlds, right? The best of your DNA, even if it is reptilian. There's plenty of good traits and characteristics of reptilian DNA. And then also the best of your soul's vibration as well. So it's really cool. But good question, Rosa Rose. Thank you. Natalia, are the Anunnaki anywhere around Earth right now, observing, assisting with ascension? Like, for example, the Galactic Federations, Arcturians, and Palladians. If so, what is their role and mission? It's so beautiful. If you guys have seen my lecture on the ancient hidden human history and the Galactic Federation, which is on my website, I really go into detail about, what went on in the past, and I have relayed this information in some videos as well. Ultimately, yeah, the reptilians were here to create us as human beings, to really create a slave race, right? So their original intentions weren't great, but eventually the reptilians really started to change their ways and to take responsibility over the creations that they created, over the beings, the species that they created. And to be honest, just gonna say this, the Anunnaki have a very high level of pride within human beings as one of their best creations, which I think is really funny, because ultimately, from a higher perspective and a higher timeline, the Galactic Federation always knew that the Anunnaki were going to manipulate the Neanderthals or the apes or whatever on this planet to create human beings. The Galactic Federation always knew that the reptilians were going to come here, or were already here, and they wanted to manipulate their DNA with human. It was all pre-contracted. So for the Anunnaki to feel so like high and mighty about this, like we were the ones to create you and you are this great experiment in this great species, it's like, yeah. The GFL already knew what was up, like long before, like you were just a part of the game, you know? So I just think it's funny, but that's just my own like laughter on the inside. I love the Anunnaki. I really freaking love them. And I'm really starting to love, I know this is like, you're gonna cut this out and make some sort of crazy video, but I love the reptilians too. I do. They're really changing. They're transmuting every day. There's this huge reptilian army that's just ready to overhaul. Like I am so, I don't know. I feel like a parent watching these species on this planet and watching them get so sucked into greed and attachment, to all of a sudden changing their ways and opening up and being like giving and beautiful and for the light. Like it's like I literally do feel like a proud parent. So the Anunnaki, they are definitely around planet Earth. The Anunnaki hold a lot of ancient knowledge and wisdom. They are disseminating a lot of ancient knowledge and wisdom at this time. They are unlocking portals and vortexes and revamping the consciousness grid system around planet Earth. They're doing a lot right now. A lot of Anunnaki descendants are doing a lot right now to release the vibrational frequency, the consciousness, the knowledge, and the wisdom that they originally brought here. It was the Anunnaki that gave us sacred geometry. It was them that gave us mathematics. It was them that gave us, the calendar system. It was them that taught us about time. Like they gave us a lot. Yeah, they raised us for slaves, but they ended up educating us along the way, right? So anyway, Anunnaki rant over. Emmy Starlight, always with some good questions, Emmy. Really appreciate you being here. And you are a 6-month member, so thank you for being here and being a 6-month member. Really appreciate that. I wonder about the chakras that we have in our hands. Great. Can you tell us more about them? And does anything happen with them when we hold hands or put our hands together in prayer or something? Awesome. Yeah, so every time, even just the other day, I was tapping into someone and I was seeing their hand chakras activated. Every time I see hand chakras activated, I always see them in the color, right? Because here, this is my channeling ability. I see them in the color of red, right? Which sucks. It's like, I feel like we just can't perceive much of the color spectrum. Like we're really limited. So it sucks that the base root chakra is red and now the hand chakras are red. That's just how I perceive them and see them. But every time I see the hand chakras activated, they always look red. And sometimes pink though. I will say sometimes pink, but mostly red. So like I was mentioning before, this is for healing, for creativity. It's almost like the hand chakras are another throat chakra. It's a way that we can express our vibration. Maybe it's through healing, maybe it's through creativity, maybe it's through writing, right? But it's just a way that we express ourselves. And absolutely different hand positions, okay, are different mudras. And, we've known this going a long ways back, that it creates different powerful energetic effects in our body when we have different hand positions. The hand position that I used to sit in all the time was this one, which is weird. Trump sits in that position too, and some people are like, Illuminati, and I'm like, I don't know, it just resonates with me. I think Bashar sits actually like that too. So that's how I sit typically. Recently, how I've been sitting in my meditation has actually been the pinkies together. So I just don't know. I've tried to look up to see if that's a mudra, but I can't find it anywhere, right? It's just, but that's kind of the evolution of how I sit now, and it feels good. I don't know what it is, but it feels good. Okay, a couple more questions here. Nicole Aubrey. Oh yeah, so another very, very similar question here to the demon question. Does Lucifer exist? And if so, what's the real story behind him? You know what? I have never really channeled the Lucifer, just like I've never really channeled the God. I don't think that exists. But I don't know, right? There's so many things that I don't know. If I don't ask the question, then I don't know, which leaves me ignorant to a lot, especially since I don't do any external research. Yeah, I mean, oh yeah. Oh, very interesting. Okay, you know what just popped in? I did a session. Oh yeah, I did a session not too long ago, and this guy was connected to the leader of the underworld. And for whatever reason, it made a lot of sense to him. Anyway, and yeah, so is there a leader of the underworld or some sort of leader of dark forces? Yeah, but there are many different dark forces and many different dimensions and planes of existence that those dark forces exist, and I'm sure that there's a leader within every single one of them. So is there one God? No. Is there one Lucifer? No, not from my understanding and perception and channeling. And I always say these words: the higher you rise, the harder you fall. Vice versa. The harder you fall, the higher you rise. I've observed this over and over and over again within so many of my clients, right? The harder you fall, the lower you go, you hit rock bottom, the higher you're going to rise. It's only the light workers that are strong enough to experience the deepest levels of darkness. And I'll leave it there. All right. Just a few more questions here. Revenue, hopefully I'm saying that right, Scarlett. Another 6-month member. Thank you for being here. Why is America the country that receives so much attention from the spiritual community and aliens? First of all, I want to say that aliens are embedded within every country, within every culture, within every language, all across the planet. What I do want to say about America, I don't think that it's more or less more spiritual or less spiritual. I think that there's a huge hub here, and we all know that. I don't know this for sure because I haven't actually fully channeled it, and I don't have enough time to fully just channel it right now, but I'm just going to plant a seed. I believe, even when I read this question last night, I was kind of downloading a little bit on it. I believe that back in the day, when America was formed or created, whenever that was, I don't know, I'm not American, it was created with the intention that it was going to be the nation, the country, to bring all nations and countries together. I believe that it was created with a high vibrational intention for unity consciousness out in the world. I also believe that because it was created under that intention, it was almost instantly corrupted and skewed completely under that intention. And that's it. That's all I really kind of know. That's all I really kind of tapped into. But good question. All right, another question here from Natalia. What is your take on light language? I don't speak it myself. If I had light language in front of me, I have been able to interpret the general message of the light language message. I can't read it verbatim, but I can kind of just tap into the vibration of the message itself. I mean, I'm sure in other lifetimes I was fluent in light language. I think it just looks so beautiful. I would really love to incorporate some light language into my paintings, moving forward. So it's basically light language is the main dominant language out there in the universe. The majority of species speak it, similar to English here on this planet, and a lot of countries speak it. So when I tap into a being, right, out there in the universe, no matter what being they are, they typically come to me in light language. It's not all the same light language. There are many different dialects and takes on light language. I guess many different languages within light language. And I'm always translating a name from light language into English. And, for them, they just speak to me telepathically, and I interpret that as English right away in my own mind, right? But sometimes they give me their names, and they're so long with these crazy light language characters. I'm like, what is that? And then we kind of work through what sounds and what letters feel most in alignment for the translation of their name from light language. So anyway, that's pretty much all I know. I don't know much about light language. CPO 717, any advice for those of us with partners that are still asleep? It feels sad not being able to reach them during such a critical time on the planet. All I can say about your partners who are still asleep is please hold space for them, okay? They're going to awaken eventually, okay? They're going to awaken, they have to. And typically the awakening comes through a very, especially the more firm someone is attached to this matrix reality, the harder the ego death and the harder the fall is going to be. And I think we've already gotten that soft blow from society during COVID and quarantine of really kind of opening ourselves and letting go of our preconceived realities. And actually, before I leave, I want to show you my art piece. It's definitely a moment of vulnerability for me because I really don't like the piece. I spent a lot of time on it. I don't like it. And I can't really put my finger on why I don't like it. But the main reason why that I've come up with that I don't like this brand new canvas that I've been working on, I don't like it because it's dark. It's too dark. Not only is the whole piece just basically black and white and dark that way, but the messaging behind it is dark. And I really feel like, I mean, obviously my art pieces are always kind of like an accumulation of where we are on the planet at this time. But, I really wanted this piece to be like full of color and energy, and it just did not work out that way. So, I typically never go back and change my pieces, and I can't really hide this piece because it's really big. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it is quite, so don't judge me on the darkness of this piece. It literally just came through me, as does my channeling. Just don't shoot the messenger. But I do want to show it, even though I'm kind of embarrassed of it because I don't like it. I don't know why, I just felt like I felt the need to show it. Okay, so just 1 second, let me go get it. Probably move this back a little bit. 1 second. All right. I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay, so it starts at the bottom here, right? And you've got the flag, the American flag, of course. The American flag is all black and white because America rests on polarity. These are actually meant to be 52 or however many stars, but they're actually children because I believe that America was built on the backs of children. Let's be honest. Then you've got my symbol for corruption, which is the gas mask, right? Embedded within the black and white, almost kind of hiding himself. The reflection, right here, this is supposed to be a mirror. The reflection of the gas mask is the projection of the darkness of society, of the corruption. And of course, over here, you can see that the elites who are wearing the gas mask are actually blinded. So not only are they trying to reflect, right, the projection of their corruption, but they are blinded themselves and cannot see. Okay, so this was supposed to be the lower half of the piece. This was supposed to be the corruption, okay? This was supposed to be the corruption. But for whatever reason, and then my idea here was to break through, okay? To break through corruption. And this is where I did my caster, so plaster, I don't know what you call it. These are arms literally popping out. I don't know if you can see. And arms popping out over here. And then you've got, also, I don't know if you can see, but you've got the third eye, right, coming out. And then you've got gold because waking up to that vibration is golden, right? And then you've got also the mirror in the eyes of humanity as well. But the mirror is crying. So what came through? Like, this was supposed to be all very colorful and light and awakening and all of that. But then in the background, I've got all of these magazine cutouts of, you know, alien abductions and extraterrestrials and encounters and poltergeists. And it's like the dark side of awakening. It's the dark side of, of ascension. And not only do we have to wake up from this is the third dimension frequency that we've got to wake up from. It's a heavy piece. But we also have to wake up and liberate ourselves from the corruption and the darkness and the confusion within, within the spiritual realm as well. This is all chaos, and we've got to break through that chaos. So anyway, and you can see, I don't know if you can see how much it pops out here, but it's pretty cool from a side. It's my face. Anyway, so I don't know what to do with that piece because it's just so dark, and I'm just not used to making such a dark piece. And whatever, it's fine. It's just sitting there for right now because I'm acclimating to the energy of it. And I literally had a panic attack halfway through making it because the energy of it was so intense. But anyway, off to another piece. I don't have any more wall space, so all my paintings are just chilling on the ground right now because we don't live in a very big place at all, like a 1-bedroom. So I don't know how am I going to produce more art? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, doing something creative, guys, for the rest of December is going to be great. I will see a lot of you for December 21st event. I will see the rest of you tomorrow for another live video. And yeah, keep up the good work, guys. Thank you all members for being here. And if you want to give back to me and you feel like I've, changed your life or helped you along your way, signing up for the membership program, you get tons of exclusive content, and it's just $10 a month, and that helps me every month as well. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow.